Welcome to Alberta Football Uncensored. I'm your host, T. Johannesson. With me, as always, is my co-host, Omari Fraser. Omari, obviously, there's a lot of cool things going on this week. We've got the AFL Championship game, which we're going to preview here tonight. We've got both members from both teams coming on. We're going to start with the Calgary Gators, do a little segment, half an hour-ish segment with them. Then we're going to bring on the Jets and have a little half-hour segment with them. They're not going to be on together, so neither of them will know what the others say until they listen to the podcast tomorrow. We've got some stuff to talk about. Apparently, I ruffled some feathers last week within the Calgary Gators camp with some comments that I made on the podcast. So I am highly annoyed. So this should be a lot of fun. I also have lots of fun receipts. So we're going to debate this a little bit and talk about this a little bit, I guess. Long story short, Omari, you kind of let me know that when you went to the practice that the Gators were at least using my words as some motivation for the upcoming game. And then I saw the clip. I think it was a few of the Gators there after the game, after they beat Airdrie, were calling me out for saying that their DBs were the weakness of their team. Watching that video was slightly annoying because I was definitely misquoted. So we're going to break this down a little bit. So first off, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go back in time for the first time in AFU history. And we're going to listen to exactly what I said last week. And then we're going to discuss it. So here we go.
Here's the thing. If the Gators have a weakness, it's in their defensive backfield. They have some holes. You know, Alex Isick is there, but he's been off for a long time. And I love Alex. I watched him our receiver, Brett Bilsma, ran right past him. Now, Brett unfortunately dropped the pass. It was kind of a fingertippy one, but he was beat pretty bad. And I've never seen Alex get beat that bad before. So I think he's still coming into it. I think he's obviously not as good as he once was, especially how can you be when you take that many years off? They've got a kid named Brett playing halfback who just started playing halfback last year and has a ton of potential, but he's not where his potential can be. That's for sure. Brett is going to be a hell of a player in a few years when he really starts learning the position. But he's not a super stud there right now because he's very new to the position. He's athletic. He's getting by his athleticism and he'll make some plays, but he's beatable and Isick's beatable and Rob, look, he's 40 something years old playing corner, not very fast, not very quick. I love that guy, but is he a lockdown corner right now in this time of his career? No, of course not. So there's definitely the ability to throw the football. You know, their best DB might be OJ, and he plays halfback, and he's not again the quickest guy in the world. So there's some holes on that Gators secondary for sure, and that would probably be one of their few weaknesses. Their D-line and linebackers are really good, and they're obviously very talented on offense. So,
okay, we're back live here. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit, ladies and gentlemen who are listening. Couple things. Every single football team in the history of the world has a weakness and has a strength. I think the key word there when we led into that was I said if the Gators have a weakness, it would be their secondary. Now, if is a key word that seems to have been forgotten by people. If matters. They definitely do have a weakness because every team does. You can't have everything be your strength. The thing that kind of annoyed me a little bit was somebody said that I only listed 1 out of their 5 DBs. Well, you just heard it there. I listed 4 dudes. 4 dudes broke their games down, but somehow people twisted that into saying I only listed 1 out of 5 guys. So here's the thing. If you're going to call me out for something, at least get your facts straight, because this shit is recorded and we can go back in time and figure out that I not only did I not list 1 out of 5, I listed 4 dudes on a team that I don't play on and broke their games down. That is one hell of a job as somebody who is analyzing football games. I'm going to give myself a ton of credit there because most people can't do that. I'd like to see anybody in this league or on the Gators come and run a podcast and then off the cuff, because everything we do is off the cuff. Nothing is scripted. That's what makes our podcast so great. List 4 dudes on other teams and break down their games. List their names and break down their games. But apparently I only listed 1 out of 5. Well, that was a lie. So you're getting Some of these guys are getting mad, and none of them are on the podcast today. But some of these guys on the Gators were mad at me, and they were mad because they made stuff up. Like they just lied to themselves, or like didn't listen, or heard it through the grapevine and didn't check the facts. So it's really important before you get upset about something and try to call me out that you have your facts. Because if you try to call me out, I promise you're going to lose, because I have my facts and I stand by what I say. So make sure you have your facts if you're going to come after and be upset about something. Secondly, what did I say about any of those 4 DBs that was not 100% factual? So let's break that down for a second. Alex Issick used to be a great DB. I said he's not what he used to be. Is he what he used to be? Can anybody make the case that Alex Issick is what he used to be after 5 years of football? Somehow he stayed exactly the same as he got older and never played football? No, he's not what he used to be. Of course he's not what he used to be. That doesn't mean he's bad, but Alex was a guy you could not throw the ball against. Go check out, here's some more receipts. Go check out clip 34 from the Bucks versus Gators game. Clip 34. Brett Bilsma runs right past Alex. Wide open, hits him in the hands. He drops it. It was a little bit overthrown. Wasn't completed, but it doesn't matter. The point of it is that you can beat these guys. And if you have a good quarterback that can make throws, you can beat these guys. Go check out clip 74. So I talked about Brett. Brett's a kid that I coached up last year with the Bucks. He was his first year playing DB. And I have absolutely nothing but love and admiration and respect for Brett and what he's done and how he's changed his game. But what I specifically said was Brett has not reached his full potential. And again, can anybody prove to me wrong? Do we really want to be out? Does Brett really want to be out here saying that he right now is as best as he's ever going to be? Or does he have a long way to go? And that doesn't mean he's bad today, but he is going to be great in the future. That's how it should be. When I was 22 years old, I was not what I was today. So I'm a much better DB every single year I play because the potential is high. So he's a young kid that's new to DB. I said he's not where his potential should be. So, and I said he gets by on his athleticism, which is very similar to me. When I played corner my first couple of years, I had no idea technique-wise what I was doing. I was a receiver my entire life until I came to the Bucks, until I came to the Alberta Football League. And then they had a million receivers and it was all about fair play and they needed DB, so I jumped there. And I completely got by on my athleticism. I had no idea what I was doing. That is not an insult. That is a compliment. The thing that I said about Brett is an absolute compliment. And I would challenge anybody to argue with me that Brett is as good as he'll ever be today, because you're completely wrong and that's not true. And that is not an insult to say that. Okay, go check out clip 74. I ran a corner route against Brett, and we had the ability to have a quarterback that knew how to throw a corner route, that would have been a big time completion. So my point being is that good receivers and good quarterbacks can take advantage of the Gators secondary. And if the Gators are being honest with themselves, they would also admit that that's an area. Now, we have a league this year that is not a very good passing league. The best passing team that the Gators DBC is their own team in practice. No other team can really throw the football, and definitely not this season. But I promise you right now, and I'll guarantee you Ben Natiak and Xavier Lawrence and Kurt would even admit, the 2021 Bucks receiving core with myself and Xavier and Matt Lay and Ben and Brandon Lay would absolutely run roughshed over this Gators secondary. And they might say differently now because they're on the Gators, but realistically, they know that's the truth. It wouldn't even be that hard. In fact, the Edmonton elite DBs of 2021 were way better than the Gators defense of this year, and we run roughshed over them. So it's been a poor year with quarterbacks and receivers. And so you haven't seen the true test, and I think maybe we'll see some more here. And if the Gators advance, you're going to be challenged. Probably, I haven't seen Toronto play, but by a better passing game than they've seen. So none of that stuff I said was incorrect. And then I talked about Rob. That's the third guy I talked about. Again, what did I say about Rob that was incorrect? He's not in his prime. He's not speedy. He plays 15 yards off the ball, and if you get a good quarterback that can throw the wide side hook, you can eat that all day long. Then I said that I talked about OJ. That was the fourth guy I talked about. Said he was probably their best DB. Not the fastest guy in the world, but gets the job done. I will say I left out guys like Cam Miller and Ty Bissett. But I don't really talk about safeties. And I know Cam Miller's played a little bit of corner this year. But when I'm talking about guys that you can beat in coverage, I'm talking about the corners and the halfbacks. Like, safeties are not playing coverage. They're playing middle of the field. I don't, every team can have a good safety or bad safety. I don't think that makes a big deal when it comes to completing passes. So a couple kind of things to realize. And the last thing to realize before we bring in the Gators here to talk about their upcoming game and anything they want to maybe talk about, this is that this is what we do on this podcast, guys. And I rip the crap out of people on this podcast. And I think anyone that has listened understands that I tell the truth. I talk the shit about teams that need to be talked shit about, and I give credit where credit is due, regardless of what my own bias towards people or whatever people might think. I'm going to speak it as is, because imagine a podcast, Omari. Imagine if we did a breakdown and you and I came on here and we're like, all right, let's break down the Gators versus the Irish. Well, the Gators are a 100% perfect football team, so we can just not talk about them at all. Like, how fun would that be? No, the point of the damn podcast is to sit here and analyze the games and go, if there's a way that Airdrie can win the game, it might be through whatever it might be. And I challenge the Gators, and maybe they'll answer me this question on this podcast. A, can you refute any of the things that I said about those players? B, if the DBs are not your weakness, what is? Because something has to be, and I don't think anything else is. I don't think the Gators are weaker than anyone at the quarterback position. Definitely not at the quarterback position. Not at the receiver position. Not even close at the receiver position. Not a linebacker. Maybe the Jets have an advantage on the D line, but not even close on the O line. So when it comes to breaking down games, you have to be able to talk about those things and understand that there are areas to attack. So Omari, thank you for bringing that shit to my attention, because you can't. I love having this podcast. And first of all, off the topic a little bit here, Omari, congratulations to you and to me. We just reached 10,000 downloads, which I think is so cool. To be two dudes that just. I reached out to you, I think a couple of years ago, was like, because we talked about it, like, hey, you want to try to do something? And here we are 10,000 downloads later, creating mass controversy in the league, creating bulletin board material for everybody to use. I'm not even in the league anymore. Our team was eliminated a long time ago, and the guys are talking shit about me after the game. So all in all, I love it. It brings great content for the podcast. And obviously, nothing but love for all those guys that I talked about. But Omari, again, yeah, thank you for bringing that to my attention, and congrats on the 10,000 downloads. It's been great.
Hey, it's been a journey. It's awesome to hit, and it's definitely what they want to make sure. I want to give our flowers to all of our supporters, all the players, all the controversy, all the excitement, enticement, and all that stuff where we either say things with you or against you. It's all part of the game, all part of adversity. Like, it's one of those things where when you're not going to have people not be fully into what you do or fully back you, it's part of life. If, it is one of those things where if we are the voices, then so be it. But along with that, just know that all the attention we're getting to the league, it is for something. So, if we gotta be the villains for more exposure, then we'll do that, while we all get to say we can finally get paid from playing this game, which I think would be a pretty cool thing to where exposure brings to this and that, and go from there. But with that being said, I'm just gonna pull up my roster here. I'm just gonna go to the CowieGators.com here and go to the roster section to have that handy.
These guys expect me to know every name of every player on the roster, and if I don't, I'm not allowed to have an opinion on anything. Someone told me that. They said, if you don't know the names of our players, then you don't get an opinion. Well, to that person, fuck you. I get an opinion because it's my podcast. And I think I do a pretty damn good job of researching and giving high quality opinions, especially when it comes to the secondary, which, if you haven't checked lately, there isn't anybody that's done it better than me in the history of this league. And Mr. Stats Don't Lie. That was what their guy said to me, even though their DBs don't really have any stats because they didn't have any really throwing games. Stats don't lie. So I know what I'm talking about when it comes to the secondary. And I can't remember what the guy's name was. Whatever. He was on Facebook. All right, let's move into the podcast here. Oh, and I will say this: during that same game preview, Airdrie and Calgary, I called Airdrie slow. I said they sucked. I said a lot worse things about Airdrie than I even came close to saying about Calgary. I thought I just gave an honest breakdown about Calgary, and I think that hopefully we have some people that understand football here today that know that, but I'm always up for a debate. And again, maybe I'm wrong about Alex Issick. Maybe he is as good as he ever once was. Maybe I'm wrong about Brett. Maybe this is as good as he'll ever be. I don't think so. But we're going to bring these guys on. So we've got Kurt Halland, we've got Jordan Heather, and I think we've got a shy Donnie Scott joining us from the same basement in Airdrie. Guys, thank you so much for coming on, Jordan and Kurt. Well, Kurt's been on a few times now, which has been great. Kurt, the OG AFL podcaster back in the day. Jordan's been on before. And then Donnie apparently is a bit shy, but he's ready to go and drop some words of wisdom. So, guys, welcome to the podcast. Kurt, I'll start with you. How's things going this week? I saw you guys were practicing, I think, at Cochrane on turf field. You guys feeling ready? You feeling prepared for this week?
Yeah, thanks for having us on. Congratulations on your 10,000 downloads. Doing well. I just wanted a quick response to that sweet
Of course.
soliloquy that you serenaded us with.
I don't expect anything less.
For all you Billy Madison fans out there, what you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Substance.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Okay, you read a script. That's not fair. We are unscripted here. You read a script. We are unscripted on Alberta Football Uncensored. Now, hey, no, this is fine. This is good. This is what happens. I somehow I used to be kind of left wing in politics, and now I've become apparently extreme right in some of my thoughts according to the left. This is how the left argues. They just tell me I'm wrong, but they don't tell me how or why I'm wrong. So, without the script, I'm happy to hear where was I incorrect?
The only thing I'll say, and without we don't need to go into the weeds on this. I appreciate the banter, and honestly, we heard it, and we were sitting at my house, and Jordan's like, you hear this? We should clip it and send it to the DB group. And then we did it. And it was just buzzing my phone. Everybody's like, what the fuck? Talking
kick the bee's nest for sure.
and hey, look at what they did last week. They responded. So the only thing I'll say is there's a couple things. Cam Miller, he's played corner the entire year.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw, I'm sure Omar got a good view of it, of that pick down the sideline, breaking on that out, and then truck sticking Josh into the his own stands, or into his own locker, or into his own bench. But he's played well. He's been one of the most consistent corners in the league all year, and he hasn't played safety at all. And then we have a guy like Dawson Elliott, just got done at U of T playing halfback for us. Dude's been lockdown the entire year. And honestly, personally, Chris Dublin, he's I would say he's one of the best safeties that I've ever played with and against. The range he has from sideline to sideline is unreal. And I don't see what everybody else is watching. We're watching film. We go up against these guys every practice, and there's battles. These guys are very good, and then on the other side, Brett, he's young, but Brett, and I'll agree with that. Brett's still got his best footballs ahead of him, but he's played really well for us. He's only stepped his game up because he's playing around better players. And that was one thing that I talked to a lot of guys that were on the fence this year. Oh, well, you got this guy, and this team is telling me that I won't play. And I'm just like, man, when you play around good players, it elevates your game. When all you have to do is worry about your job, and you're not worried about covering for that, you're the guy next to you, and you can just do what you're supposed to do. It makes you a better football player. So, I mean, and obviously Ty, the old warhorse, he's still, making plays and still a hell of a football player. And then Isaac, I'll agree, Isaac hasn't played in since 2017. Obviously he's knocking rust off. I would say shape wise, he's probably in the best shape he's ever been. The dude works out like a machine. But yeah, you take 7 years off of football, you're not going to just pick things right back up and humming. But Alex has played really well for us. It's not like Alex didn't ever give up a pass when he was playing back then. DBs, that he takes chances, he's aggressive, and that's what makes him a good player. So I feel and even taking shots, not even that you're taking shots at guys, but a lot of those are our starters. So you're talking about Rob. He's older, but I love Rob. He's been a huge part of our secondary. What he can't do anymore physically, he still has it mentally, and he's been huge for the young guys. So we have a really good core of DBs, and honestly, at the end of the day, sure, we haven't been tested as much as maybe we would have been in the past years, just with some of the quarterback play. But week one, let's go back and start looking at stats. Week one, we gave up 70 yards passing. against, obviously a Rayshawn that was coming back off of an injury, but like they have a lot of weapons, and we gave up 70 yards passing against them in our first game. It's not like we had months and months and months of playing, and like we're still a team coming together and gelling. So, I'm always going to stick up for my team. Everybody's got their opinion. I'm a big guy and believe in you can have yours, and I'm a freedom of speech guy, so I can appreciate you saying it, but I definitely don't agree with some of the stuff that was said. Like I said, our starting five is, I believe, one of the better secondaries that we've ever gone against. Ben will tell you that. Xavier will tell you that. And we have battles, man. It's not like Ben and Xavier are on the same side on the boundary in practice. It's not like they're just absolutely dominating our starting DBs. Like, we have battles. They go back and forth, and it's only made us better. But I mean, that's really all I wanted to say about it. I get where you're coming from. I know you have to kind of look at it and find ways to be make content. You can't just be like, oh, they're the greatest, everybody's great, and everybody does have weaknesses. That's a fact. Like, when you're breaking down film, you're not just sitting there saying, oh man, they're great everywhere. You're looking and saying, hey, how can we take advantage of this team? So I get it from that standpoint.
Well, so it's so funny because you basically agree with everything I said. And I mean,
but I want you to admit that Cam has been playing corner all year.
No, okay.
You didn't know that.
Yeah, no, okay. So basically, long story short, everyone, Kurt agrees with pretty much everything I said. It will stick up with for his team, but agrees with me on the way that I broke down those players. Where we can also agree is, yes, I didn't mention Cam, and that, I mentioned 4 guys. I probably should have mentioned Cam maybe over someone like Rob. Cam is a stud, and I tried to get Cam to come play for the Bucs this year. He had messaged me, and the reason why I always think of him as safety is because he was the best safety last year for Grand Prairie, best safety that I've ever seen live. The guy just flows to absolutely everything. I think Cam, the Cold Lake has good DBs, but Cam might be the best DB on the field on Saturday. So I will say that Cam is a legit don't throw the ball at this way guy. I don't think you have those guys on the other places of the ball, kind of like you said. I think, is Dawson number 40?
Number 4. Well, he would have wore 40 in the Wounded Warriors game. But other than that, he's been number 4. He's one of our tops.
Yeah, and he's good. And I think, like you said, it's just you're breaking down games. And when I look at your team, I can't find weaknesses. So then you got to dig deeper. And then I, as a DB guy myself and a receiver having run against guys, I kind of look and be like, okay, well, and I specifically said, if there is a weakness, it might be here. So we'll see. You're right about that first game. I will say about the first game, as you know, Kurt and probably Jordan understands as well, defenses always come together quicker than offenses. So first games are always kind of weird for me to judge. So I kind of threw that out a little bit because, especially with Rayshawn coming back and not practicing, and I think he had only had 1 or 2 practices under his belt at that time. So I'll be interested to see how things go this week. I think both teams will be a lot better. So let's get into that preview. Jordan, you're back. You're in town right now, staying with Kurt, watching a movie tonight. That's all cute and wonderful. How are you feeling coming into tomorrow's game against a team that you haven't seen in a couple months? What are you expecting from them, and what are you expecting from your own team into this game?
I'm feeling good. I've been out here in Calgary since August 4th, so I've been getting a lot of reps and practice with the team, which is, going to make us a lot sharper over time here. So we're looking forward to getting out in the field with the guys. I said Cold Lake, they're a good team. Like, we gotta respect what they do. They have a lot of good guys in the secondary. They got some big linebackers. The D line, they have a good D line as well. So again, I don't know what their game plan is going to be. Like, I'm not sure if they're going to come out and try to do the same thing they did the first game. I'm assuming they wouldn't. Like I said, I expect them to come out and it's going to be a very physical game. Probably as I said, the first game of the season was one of our most physical games, and it'll be even more so, I'm assuming, with what's on the line at the game kind of thing, right?
Yeah, and I just noticed today, Jordan, obviously congratulations for yourself, first team All-Star. Pretty impressive considering you didn't even play all the games, but regardless, definitely deserved. Like we said before, stats don't lie, and you were by far the best quarterback in the league this year. But talk to me a little bit about your O-line, because I think almost every one of your O-linemen got named to an All-Star. I think there was 2 or 3 on the first team. Talk to me about them a little bit and maybe give some shout outs to those guys who often are underappreciated. But I learned this year playing quarterback that they need to be the most appreciated people on planet Earth. So talk to me a little bit about those guys and what they've done for you.
Yeah, they're a fantastic group. Like I said, it's probably one of the best. It probably is the best O-line that I've played with. Like I said, guys like Grant Potter and Zach and Tyshawn and Brian Summers, and then I think the only one who wasn't named as an all-star was Two Smokes. But our left guard, yeah, Kyle, he didn't get the nod this year, and I think he should have. I think that if you look across the league, like to have what O-line was better at each position, and I honestly think that we had the best 5 O-line in the league at each position. But again, it's a voting process, and things aren't always fair. But yeah, like I especially playing last year in North Bay. I love my O-line I had there last year, but it's just not even the same level, right? Like I had to adjust the way I played and process things to make it work. But this year, I said I have a lot of time to throw. I can actually go through progressions and get into the best situation, right? So they make it a lot easier to play quarterback for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kurt, now that the regular season's over, you've won your playoff game. Now you're going to the league championship. Obviously, you have bigger goals. I know, the reason why you brought this team back was to finish the unfinished, which is the national championship, which the AFL will host this year. But looking, back to, I guess, January when you guys, or even before that, when you decided you were going to start this team and propose and then get accepted, has it exceeded your expectations, everything that's happened? Like, is this everything you dreamed of, or is this even, like, regardless of winning the national championship, just up to this point, this has pretty much gone, the way that you expected it, or even better?
Obviously we were always gonna, our expectations were obviously lofty and looking to try to win the AFL and try to win our first national title. But yeah, I don't know. I honestly, the best way I can answer that is, like I wasn't sure who would actually, everybody can talk and, after not playing football for so long, and that first month, you're all excited, and then maybe things wear off and then guys start fading out and not everybody sticks to what they say. But man, like all the guys that came back, like it's honestly been great. Like, I'm obviously friends with a lot of guys on the team. Outside our families are all really close, but it's like we never left. And it's crazy, like just to be around the guys, and then the new guys coming in, like, there's some great guys, and don't get me wrong, like it's essentially a first year team, and there's a lot of bumps and bruises along the way. And sometimes I want to pull my hair out and walk off the field and say, if you'll do something better with my time. But like at the end of the day, like we have a lot of really good guys. This could possibly be the most talented football team we've ever had. I mean, it's tough to gauge because the competition's always going to be different year to year, but we have a really good football team, a lot of really good guys. And, it's just been surprising. And then even kind of going into like guys talking about like, where you think it's going to be a one and done. And it's like, oh, but next year, I'm like, next year, like these guys are all like, there's already guys talking about next season that you would have thought would never play past this year. So it's been good. I think we're where we wanted to be and expected to be. We still got a big game tomorrow, and hopefully we get there and pass that test and move on to the next one. But yeah, I feel like our goal was always the highest, possible. So I mean, I would, if I said that I didn't have expectations or didn't expect to be here, I'd be lying. So
yeah.
One question I got for you, Kurt, is when you were building the team and everything, did you have any, particular idea in your head how you wanted to build it? And I'll give you some more depth to it. So one thing that I'm doing now, just with my breakdown of every team and everything, is just seeing now like where the talent pools come from for everyone. So looking at the Gators roster here, 60% came from either previous AFL NFC team. You had 10% come from U Sport, 23.6 come from junior, 1.8 come from high school, flag, Europe, and all that there. But, you see a good chunk of your new bodies coming in. And I guess just so everyone knows, I count basically Like if you played a year in the AFL, you're like AFL and FC bound. If you're like coming from, in this case, University of Toronto or Langley Rams or Kerry Colts, that's where they get that first year spot. So is that kind of how you envisioned it, or how'd you see this coming together on that side?
Well, I always wanted to make sure that I wanted a core of guys that I played with before. So I didn't, if we would have just went and had like, just me and a bunch of new guys, that, I mean, at the end of the day, that's fine. I wanted to bring the Gators back regardless for many reasons, but to have guys that I played football with was big. And, it's tough. Like the way I look at it is if you really look at the numbers of our roster, you're looking at about, I think I was counting it not long ago. I want to say we're about 15, maybe 15 guys at the most that played with the AFL team last year. Everybody else was either removed from the AFL or didn't play in the AFL. And most of those guys that were former AFL players, a lot of their gripe was honestly like we didn't want to play for anybody other than the Gators. Like when you guys came back, we felt comfortable that things were going to be run the way we wanted to, and so that's kind of the way I look at it. Like we're bringing guys in, whether they are former AFL guys or whatever it is. It's guys that weren't playing in the league and had no intentions of playing in the league, beyond whatever they played prior to coming over to us. I mean, I want to keep continuing to bring in young guys, and I love the AFL. Like, I mean, I put a lot of time and money and sweat and tears into building a team and helping to build the league. Like I work with the social media stuff, like with you, Omari. Like we put a lot of hours into making our teams in the league what it is. So I want to make sure that other people know, because there's a lot of guys that are on our team now that are 100% bought in and love the football and are like, guys that I could see continuing to play in the league in coming years that had no idea that this league existed, had no idea that this level of football existed. So that's kind of my goal, is I want to continue to, have a place for veterans to go that, they're proud of the organization that they're playing for, and also bring in some guys that, we've had plenty of guys. Look at a guy like Alex Issick. That guy went and played 1 year for the Colts. Let's call it what it is. He was not good. And, some guys develop and they mature at different times. And when the light bulb clicks, Alex at his prime, when he was playing in those 14 to 17 years, that level of football is probably an all-Canadian junior football player. But he just he was still maturing as a football player, and he just wasn't ready at that level. And, everybody has their own timeline. So I want to give opportunities to guys like that can come out and, maybe they need another year of polishing. We have a couple guys this year. They were literally graduating high school. One of our corners, number 41, he literally just had his 18th birthday on Tuesday's practice. And that kid is going to be an absolute animal when the light bulb clicks on for him. Devin Landon, he played in Drumheller. He's easily could be a junior player now. He wanted to take a year off, but him playing with grown men, that kid is going to be so much further ahead when he's going up against, 19, 20-year-old receivers, when he's going in practice against guys like Ben, and he's getting playing time. He's getting playing time and he's making plays, and those kind of guys is a big reason of why I'm glad the team is back. Like, who knows, that kid maybe never plays football again. Maybe he takes a year off and doesn't want to play junior and he never sees a football field again. Now I look at him and I think Dan Craig, or whatever junior team he decides to go to, I think they're going to have a hell of a football player. So, yeah, I mean, long-winded answer, but yeah, I think it's a mixture of all, of just, bringing a team back that, is a well-run organization. People are going to be happy that they played for them. And it brings good light to the AFL, I think. Also, like, we run our organization. Omar, you've been to practices. Like, you come to practice, it's not a fuck around. Like, we get there and we get at it after it and we work. So I mean, it is legitimately, a well-run team. We practice hard, and some of our young guys that just getting out of university have said, they're like, dude, like, our team would beat some of these low-level CIS teams. coaching obviously is a big thing. We don't have a 12-man coaching staff. And we don't practice 5 days a week, but you look at the talent on our team. I mean, we've got really good football players that played at that level that some of those guys on those junior and CIS teams are hoping to get to one day.
Absolutely. And one question, I love that because it's obviously a standard that every AFL team should strive for, and if we all can strive for it, just imagine the next step the league can take as a whole. And Heather, my question for you now, because I think I practiced when I was coming to do caption content. You said something quite interesting, is when you came off your senior year at Bishops. And I think you played in Europe. Then you came to the AFL and you messaged around Wolfpack, Calgary Gators, and everything. And you said something quite interesting where if the Gators weren't in a position of like structure and I guess the future that you could see, maybe you don't play AFL football. Maybe you go to Wolfpack. And I think during those times too, it was like I know the Wolfpack likes to call it the dark days of Wolfpack, but like, really that really struck to me where it's like, as a team, you should really strive to have everything in place because you never know where you're going to get a Jordan Heather level talent, Dawson Elliott King. I can't pronounce his last name. He's going to get me for that. Hoy. But like that level talent, can you attract them and retain them and see them prosper and grow? Because, I'm sure there's teams right now that have guys that come in and just say, hey, you know what, I don't want to stick around. I know we've had that battle at Wolfpack here and there with some guys we brought in, but you saying that at practice really struck a chord, and it's crazy to think that a team selection could either bless us with your talent or rob us from your talent, and that goes for any level of player coming into at that high level.
Yeah, I think, like I said that night there, I wanted to play football again. I wasn't sure. I said I grew up in New Brunswick, and the senior men's football at the time there, it's it was like a kind of like a beer league back then, and I just came up from playing university in Europe, and I wanted to play again. But again, if you go out to a practice and there's you don't have a 40-man roster there. Like, I remember the first time I came out to a Gators practice, or when I met Kurt and Oren for the first time. They show up and they have like all the number 12 jerseys, the helmets. They're like pitching me like come and check out a practice and wanting me to be there. So I go to practice, and it was in one of the domes in town back then, and it was, I said, like 40 guys like there practicing. You got Cassidy Donoff, who was in the CFL not too long before that, and some of the other dudes that were there. It's like, it gets you excited, like, oh man, like, this is awesome, And at that point, I don't even realize that teams like the Wolfpack and maybe the Irish and stuff were struggling or not in the same level, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, because that's the crazy thing is, if you go to, let's just say, a Wolfpack indoor throw around, and let's say there wasn't the 40 guys and it didn't impress you, and you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna look somewhere else, and then like this whole journey of all-star selection, seeing you tear it up here, and being able to continue playing football, it's all just doesn't happen. So one question, and I guess now we've had a banter on this, but like, what's one thing now that you want to say from now on the AFL side that you want to see improve to help attract, high level players, youth sport junior guys? And then what's one thing now as a university athlete, might have to relate it to when you were coming in, what do you want to see coming in? And should you give teams that, let's just say, don't have the Gators have a chance or an opportunity to see grow with them or build on them or build them up?
Yeah, I think like ultimately, you need to, as a player coming out of university, like you need to actually like truly love football and like want to keep playing. I know a lot of guys who I've played with in the past, or other quarterbacks. Like, funny enough, in North Bay, the quarterback Kyle Quinlan, he played for McMaster, won Vanier Cups. He won the Heck Crichton, I think, a year before I did or whatever. We both live in North Bay, coach high school football together, and he has no interest in playing football again, right? And I think a lot of it comes down to like finding that guy who wants to keep playing, right? And then like last year in North Bay, for example, the team the year before would go to games, they'd have 18 players. And just me coming in there, and like I kind of like tried to help them push to, hey, we need to have practices starting like in April. We need to go out into the community in the radio station and go to gyms and like just find people who want to play. And now in that season, we ended up having a 50-man roster, and even with me not playing there this year, that the numbers continued, right? So I know that's like a big thing, is like finding that player who can attract people locally in the community to come out and play, right?
Absolutely. I'll pass it back to Teach here, and then I guess I have a question for Donnie. Is he still in the room?
Yeah, I'm still here. A little shy, but he's here.
Yeah. All right, I'll let Teach go, and then I'll get Donnie here after Teacher.
Actually, I'm going to come to Donnie here too. So Donnie, first of all, congratulations. You just got named first team All-Star. Well deserved. You've been playing football for a while now. First podcast appearance, I'm assuming. But talk to me a little bit about this week's game, and obviously you're a leader on that defense. What are you expecting from the Jets? What are you looking to maybe take away from them without, getting too much into your details? But what are you guys preparing for as a defense for that team that does have a lot of weapons on the offensive side of the ball?
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is they do have a lot of weapons across the field, right? We have to be prepared for anything that they're going to throw out there at us, and, just come out with our game and be aggressive and set the tempo right off the bat, and just play our style of football, And we don't want them to dictate the game, and we want to do that ourselves, just like we did week 1. And I think that's how we're going to approach that game.
Donnie, how many years have you played in the AFL? You took a few off, right? Just kind of remind me a little bit.
I was 2010, and then I think it was 2017, and then I was off after that. So it's been like 8 seasons I've actually been in the AFL.
Yeah, so you're kind of a little bit longer than Isak, but you kind of were in those same kind of years there. We had some epic games back in the day with the old Bucks 2010, 2011, 2012 Bucks Gators games.
Yeah, those were tough games for sure, man.
Yeah, I remember. I don't know if you remember the game. I think it was like 2011 or 2012, and it was in Lacombe when Lacombe was still grass. And I think we won. I think it was a quarterfinal playoff game, and we won on a 2-point conversion that Byron Stearns ran into the end zone. But that was one of the all-time games of my life. Like, just like, I think we ended up winning like 38-36 or something stupid like that. Neither of our teams were really that great that year, but some really old classic Gators Bucks battles. So
yeah, no, we always played each other tough, right? Like, it was always tough games, no matter what. So
yeah, no, it was kind of a different era of Alberta Football League football. It was it was just a different kind of mentality back then. Moving into, was it hard for you coming back, like just getting your feet? Obviously, you get a first team All-Star, so it wasn't that hard. But your first couple of games, was it kind of like, what was it like taking that many years off of football and then coming back into a team that, has high expectations like the Gators, and playing the Jets in the first game? So what was that kind of like for you coming back after those years off?
Well, no, I wouldn't lie. Like 7 years off, I had some doubts, but working with the guys, putting in, a lot of work since January. Once we were voted in, we all went hard indoors, training with Lance Milton up at Athletic Edge and all that stuff. So there was some doubt, but with the guys I have around me, my family, all that stuff, that was put away real quick. And week 1, like I said, we came out, we proved what we wanted to do and accomplish, and what we're going to set the tone for the season. And the rest is history as of right now. So
yeah, Donnie might be the only one that's like, everybody was like, well, I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was. Donnie actually probably looks better than he did in 2017, which is fucking wild to say, but everybody said it. We're like, Donnie moves better. Like, he's, obviously, like, everybody kind of was like, hey, we're not like in 25 anymore. We got to work out and take our diet seriously and like be dialed. But like, yeah, it's actually been crazy to watch Donnie play, because I honestly think his 2024 season is probably better than his 2017 season, which is, he's just a freak. That's pretty wild.
He's just a freak. Yeah. Go ahead, Omar. You got one for Donnie?
Yeah, and to piggyback off that, Don, I think your wife posted like you guys like did like one of the like recreated photos where like it was a photo of you and the family back in 2017
Yeah.
and now, which I thought was pretty, which is like pretty cool because um I'm sure being a father and family man, that's I'm sure that's an exciting journey there. And I think one photo when I think your wife posted was one of where there's you in a fully Gators uniform and your son as well in his Hilltoppers uniform because he just sprang and he's active in his high school season. And one I always find it's very impactful to see that because I'm just like, as a father, where you're making it like you're doing all these things and want to ensure you're providing a strong leadership and raise your son right and everything. And how cool is it feeling to both be playing football, right? With you and your son, and like having him see you obviously play when he's younger, and to now when he's now really getting into his athletic career. And I guess I feel like there's such a powerful message there for where as a young kid, a young kid to see his father do what he does at a high level, right? It's been confirmed now with the first All-Star selection, and just like the message that sends to your son and everything. I think that's pretty powerful there. But just wanted to like dive in on that, just come from your perspective and what that means to you and the family, and what does that mean to your son? And if your son's there, I think it'd be awesome to have his take on it to see, because I'm sure it's been a pretty cool experience for him to see not only dad when he was younger, but dad now and dominating still after all these years.
Yeah, no, it's huge, we're each other's biggest fans, really, I was able to coach him for a while there, and then, we trained together, especially now that he's, 16 years old. He could lift some weight with me, so, we're not always having to switch the plates every now and then. He could actually keep up with me. So it's really cool doing field work, seeing his progression, seeing how excited he is when, he was the first one to message me when, I guess, because he follows the AFL on Instagram. So he shared it and messaged me. And, his quick call is just, I'm proud of you. So, he is one of my biggest fans. I'm one of his biggest fans. And, before I decided to come back, even though I probably didn't have a choice with Kurt, but yeah, I did sit down with the family and, laid out what the summer could look like. And, it was 30 seconds and they said, no, you're playing football. So, my family's my hugest fans and supporters. So, and yeah, Lucas is right here too. So,
And Lucas, let's get you on a quick here, a little AF introduction. I'm about to remember you for the high school side. How cool is it seeing your dad still playing football, even from if you can remember from when you were younger to now, and kind of what that means in your football journey?
Oh, it's amazing to watch him. He's a great role model, and he just proves what it means to be a football player. And he teaches me all. He taught me all I know. So I just take what he does, and I take what he does and put it on the field.
Nice, and I bet it means more now because I'm sure there's times where like there's parents. I'm sure your parents they'll just say a lot, but I'm sure your dad is different to see your dad back it up with actions and seeing him like, oh, like okay, he's flown the field like that. Oh, this is his pursuit angle. Okay, this is like the standard of play that I want to bring and continue. Right? Is that probably hits a little different?
Yeah, it does. It's really amazing to watch him.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, hey, we're gonna keep eyes on you for our high school season. I know I got some guys at Notre Dame because you go to an ND, right?
Yeah, I do.
ND, nice. And this is your grade 11 season.
Yeah.
Nice. I know there's an athlete there, Devin Jeong, you're the running back number 5 for you guys who I've coached for a while now. I'm excited to see him in his grade 12 season. See you guys tear it up. So we'll be keeping close eyes on you for the high school season. Be ready to go with the podcasting, boys.
All right, sounds good.
It's funny. They sound exactly the same. Like that is that's crazy. That is like actually crazy. People are gonna think it's just Donnie talking the whole time. I think it's like Donnie's like talking to his son. Like, okay, wow, that's great. That's awesome, guys. What a cool moment for the podcast. And yeah, we're really looking forward to the high school season. We kind of went off the cup with that last year, so we're really going to be diving hard into that this year. I'm so excited for my own high school season here in Sylvan Lake. We have a hell of a team coming up this year, so I'm looking forward to that. We start on Monday. We start our practices, so really exciting time of year. guys, I appreciate you coming on. We got to get going. We got to get the Jets on here. Kurt, anything else? I'll kind of let you have the final word with your team coming into this week.
Yeah, just we appreciate you having us on. We're looking forward to it. Just keep growing the podcast. We'll keep growing the league, and like we're looking forward to a great game tomorrow. Like I respect the Jets a ton. I love Glenn, Levitsky, a lot of the guys on that team. They're great football players. Teague's a hell of a football player and a good coach, and and even the off the field people that that help, like with like Maui and stuff. She's been great to work with too. She puts a lot of work into the league, and doesn't always get the benefits of it. So or at least the recognition she deserves. So shout out to all them. We're looking forward to a great game tomorrow. Best DBs in the league, according to Teague. She said it, and Two Smokes should have been an MVP or All-Star. Kyle Two Smokes Robbins was robbed, and he is not happy about it.
Hey, you know what? I will say this. I do think the Jets have the best secondary in the league. I do think you're right. He was robbed. I also know from being a former president of the AFL how those offensive linemen are chosen. And I do think they did a decent job this year. But it is kind of a shit show. It's hard. A lot of guys, because it's not stat orientated, a lot of guys don't pay enough attention to the offensive line. I've got a couple ideas of how we could solve that. I personally feel that we should get all the D linemen in the league to vote on offensive linemen all-stars, because they're the ones that truly know who the tough guys are to go against, right? So, but congratulations to all the all-stars. Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, Jordan. And thank you, Donnie. And Donnie's son, apparently, which could be Donnie. We're not quite sure yet.
Lucas Scott, linebacker, Notre Dame. Watch out
Lucas
for him.
Scott.
Number 4.
Lucas doesn't like you because you're...
Get out of here. That's my role, son. 15 years from now, maybe you'll hear from
One thing I was going to say, Kurt, I remember you saying how a couple of years ago for another final, you guys did like a WWE promo. I put together a nice little, I guess, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns promo there that...
I saw that.
It was in lieu of that, where I was like, let me just make it, see if I can make a little wrestling here and hype it up there a bit. But no, that's awesome. There's one thing I was going to mention as well. Oh, with that, one idea I have in my head is to do like a AFL top 50 players voted by the players, and like have it to where like it's like I have to format it in a way, but try and do like a Google form where you can like pick the players and it takes them off the list, and then like each person can like submit theirs, and then it like populates a list then that's generated from the players. So it's an idea I have. I have to figure out how to do that on the computer and all that, but I think that's an idea that would be cool to do, because then it's controlled by the players, done by the players.
That's the way. Honestly, I feel like even because the NFL does the top 100, I feel like that list means more to all the players than any other do, because like O-line, the D-line voting for the best O-lineman in the league, because they go up against them. I do honestly feel like sometimes just looking at the way voting went, and like congratulations to everybody that made the All-Star game, like, or the All-Star team. Like they earned it, obviously, like they were voted for a reason, but like the voting could be better. I feel like some of it is like, oh, I know this name, I'm going to vote for that. And then honestly, looking at it too, I think some of it's strategic, where some of these teams are like, oh, well, if I vote for this guy, he's kind of a guy that's on the fringe and he's not going to win, and that'll make our guy win. So I just look at it and I'm like, I think it probably would be better if it was opened up to something like that and doing like a top 50, because I think that is going to be something that is going to mean more to everybody, because it's voted on by people that you're lining up against. And like when a D lineman says like, yeah, this is Grant Potter is the hardest guy to go up against as a tackle, I think that would mean more to Grant than anything, because I know there was a bunch of talk like, oh, Grant should have been first team. And I do agree. Like I love Grant. He's an awesome player. But I know Grant, I don't think it bothers him that much. And I think like if he was voted on by all the D linemen saying like, yeah, he's the toughest guy to go against, that would mean more to him. And I think that goes for most players in the league. So I think that would be a good idea. So
yeah, I mean, it is something that I suggested when I was president. I mean, I've been on the bandwagon of player votes for all the awards, including the All-Stars, and opening up the Alberta Football League executive positions to player votes. So president, vice president, secretary. I think those should be voted on by the players as well. I think there's a few things that we could do to make this more of a player-run league. But anyway, story for another time, which I'm sure we'll get to. So again, appreciate you guys coming on. Good luck tomorrow, Kurt. Omari will be there. I'm going to be hopefully doing some sort of Instagram live stream thing while I kind of watch the game and commentate on it a little bit. If the national game, if you guys do win and it's in Calgary, we will be there doing some pretty cool stuff for that game. So good luck to you guys tomorrow. Stay safe. Thanks, Jordan. Thanks, Kurt. And thanks, Donnie. And thanks, Lucas.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Good night.
You too. See ya. All right, we're back for segment 2 of Alberta Football Uncensored here with 2 members of the Cold Lake Jets. We've got our unofficial podcast host, who I think's on for the 4th or 5th time, something like that. One of our favorites, one of your favorites, definitely. We get nothing but good responses when he's on. So, Gabe, thank you for joining us. We've also got receiver Derek with us as well. So I know he's been wanting to be on the podcast for a while. So thank you guys for being here. You guys are currently where are you at? You're staying in Red Deer right now. What hotel are you guys at?
We're at a nice undisclosed location now. We're just at the Motel 6, man. We just at
you at the Motel 6
right here. We're at the Motel 6, man. Just hanging out.
Hotel.
Pizza stains in the bed and all.
You know what's funny? I used to do nighttime mobile security, and I would drive around to different places and like check it out. And that Motel 6, which is right on the east end of town there, I used to always check that out. And man, that I was gonna say I wouldn't want to be staying in those beds. I saw some people living in.
Oh man! And like I said, man, pizza stains.
Wear clothes. Wear clothes.
Pizza stains in the sheets and all, man. Guys is going through it. Hey, we got a bed. We're grateful.
Let's just say the ladies of the night like the Motel 6. All right. All right.
And you can't say that. You can't put all the secrets out there like that, man.
Ooh, I saw some things. Hey, let's start with you, Gabe. So you guys are 3rd year in a row back in the championship game, really where you guys feel like you belong. Little different this year. Your first one where you're actually having to travel. What's your mindset going into this, both yourself and your team, just kind of in a different situation where you're maybe the pressure's kind of off you guys a little bit, being quote unquote the underdog, having to travel, but also kind of weird that I don't even like using the word underdog, being back-to-back champions and including a national in there, but it is a little different for you guys this year. So how are you feeling and how are you guys kind of handling that?
I think that's actually a little bit of a loaded question. I think about it. I think we're handling it well, truthfully. I think everybody's pretty focused. I think with the way the year has actually kind of shaped out, I think it actually is the best thing for us to be in the position we're in. And I really mean that. I don't know if we would have been undefeated had we probably would have had the same focus that we do now. And maybe that probably would have been a bad thing, truthfully. And as far as pressure, you guys know this. I don't think there's that pressure ever not on us, at least truthfully. Before the schedule came out, the pressure was on us, because we already knew who the matchup was going to be. Everybody was already talking about it. Then after the first week, I think the pressure actually even magnified after we played each other. I'll just go ahead and say it truthfully. Like, I think it just got bigger because then it was okay. Like, in a lot of people's eyes, just from what I kept hearing around was, are they good enough still? Are they really still the same people, same team and all that? So I think from everything we've had to continuously prove and prove again, I think the pressure just mounted. And I think for both sides, they do have their pressure too. They still have to finish their story, as they like to call themselves in the WWE stratosphere. They have to finish their story, and we have to see if they can finish their story. So I think pressure mounts on both sides.
Yeah, no, I agree. Derek, for you, kind of the same thing. What are your thoughts going into the game in a little bit different of an atmosphere, traveling on the road? Are you feeling it's any different? Are you looking at it in a positive way?
So for me, it's a little bit different from last year because, I came last year in a a powerful team still. So like everything was at home, right? So kind of first game playing against the Gators, it was a humble experience for a lot of people on the team because I truly believe we came in this season cocky and really like already thinking about the national even before the season started. So for me, it's an opportunity to show what we are. So for me, we're going at war. It's not like just another game, normal game. We hear them, we see them, and we're just ready to go to war against them and just show them who's really the big dog out here.
Yeah, I love it. Gabe, you kind of mentioned, the loss and the motivation. You actually did deal with that last year. You still hosted the championship, but you lost a game to Airdrie and then absolutely kicked the shit out of them the next time you play. And if there's anything I know about you and the leaders of that team, Teague Sherman and obviously Derek as well. I said this last week. I don't think there's a group in this league that prepares as well as your group does. And I've seen that firsthand, and we saw that last year. Proof's in the pudding. Which is why, personally, I'm leaning towards you guys finding a way to win this game when I decide who's going to win. For a couple of reasons. One, and I've said this, and the Gators got really mad, but I think you guys have the best secondary in the league. Now the Gators disagree with me and got pretty upset about that, and we discussed that a little bit on the last podcast. But my thoughts on it were, they played you guys at the beginning of the season with Rayshawn, who hadn't practiced very much, and defense takes a long time. Defense always gets faster than offense. You guys have now had a year. You guys have chemistry. You're a different team, no doubt in my mind, especially offensively. And the Gators haven't been tested. So, and I think that's an area you guys can attack. So, do you kind of agree with me on those statements?
Yeah, I would say so. I would also, you can't. While I would agree with you, you can't take full credit. You can't take any credit away from the Gators. They did their homework. They did prepare properly. And while we are a tough team, they did find a way to beat us. And it's not like, while there's a lot of different ways I can go about it, the score says what it says. It's not like we really lost the way we lost, but at the same time, they did put up that much amount of points on us. Their offense is what it is if you let it get going. So you can't take anything away from them. They did their homework. They did what they needed to do all time in the offseason back when they started in November and early December. And, so hats off to them. But I would agree with you in that aspect. A lot has changed since then. I've actually been It's funny you say that. I've actually been talking with Teague about that in a lot of our game planning talks. A lot has changed. And while a lot has changed for them, if you actually remember, Amari, I just seen you a couple weeks ago, my friend. It's good to see you again, brother. I actually just mentioned, I feel like, there's no offense to nobody's team, including your guys's, but I feel like everybody peaked at a certain time. And I think the good thing for us, even having the injury to Rayshawn, though we miss him a lot, I think that was good for us because it forced us not to peak. It forced us to have to not just adjust, but learn how to continue to adjust and be amphibious, if you will, regardless of whatever situation that comes our way. So a lot of what I would agree with in what you did say, but I do think there's some extras that go with it.
What went wrong, Gabe? When you're looking back to that first game, and I think that was the biggest surprise for me was how many points they were able to put up. So what kind of went wrong for you guys there? And what are you kind of really looking for improving coming into this week?
I think, ironically enough, if you actually remember going back to now something you said, Tej, you actually kind of front-laced, the preview of that game in your kind of opening statement to me and Rayshawn. You had said, with me, as I had mentioned, I'm not there yet, and Rayshawn wasn't there yet at the time. You had asked if us not being there would be an issue, not just for us adjusting, but the team adjusting without its leaders, and then having its leaders come so late to a team that has been together since that time frame that they came around. I can just, I don't make excuses, and that's just not, they did beat us. But I will say, I do think having your two leaders, there's no offense to any of my team, but having especially your outspoken leader and me there, I do think that changes a lot of things. I know for a fact when I'd gotten there, practice levels had raised by the time, as soon as I got there, we all raised the bar. And that's not to say anything against anybody else, but if it didn't raise until me and Rayshawn got there, what were we doing before probably wasn't enough, but we thought it was. And we needed to learn, okay, well, again, kind of like Derek said, we needed a humble experience, and that was one of them. And we didn't realize what else was coming but there were more humble experiences coming. And that's fine, because it's not the experience, it's what you gain and learn from the experience. And I think, again, learning to be amphibious, learning to adjust, learning to be ready for any situation, and learning to move on the flip for any situation has really worked out. I think they just caught us at a good time. Again, just not me being there maybe 6 days prior to kickoff, Provo getting there 8 days prior to kickoff. That's very tough. That's very tough. Your offensive leader and your defensive leader. And then just going into all the game planning, with that, and then team chemistry. I can speak for Derek's behalf on that. Although he had a short stint with Provo, and they had a good time together while they were teammates, Provo was healthy. There was still a lot they had to learn when they got together. Okay, I run my posts like this. Okay, I like to throw my outs like this. All those little intricacies in the game, as a QB. So, it took time. And I just, like I said, I don't make excuses, but I think they just caught us at the right time. Because truth be told, even the year we won the Natty back in 2022, if you actually catch us, we're always trying to adjust. Everybody is, and we've won. That's where you're feeling things out. That's actually where we've always been our weakest. We've just been able to figure it out. That was just the one time we couldn't. And they took full advantage of us trying to figure it out. Late in the game, I think, and not to drag the question out, but late in the game, as I've said this a million times, I think it's only like a 10-point game late in the fourth, maybe like 7 or 8 minutes in. And then as we finally realize, okay, we got to do something. And then offensively, we just get desperate and start putting our defense in bad field position. Well, yeah, somebody's going to start taking advantage at some point in points in that aspect. But again, hats off. They did what they did. It's a different time now. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. They did do what they do, and the Gators have been great all year. And, I think the other thing too is, that first game, I don't look too much into it for a number of reasons. I think we've talked about a few of them. And there's also the fact that even though it was the first game of the year, it's not like they didn't have an idea of who you guys were. They were able to watch film and see some things from previous years where, of course, you guys had no idea who the Gators were. Well, now you have a year of tape. And like I said, I'm a big believer in preparation, and I believe you guys have the advantage in preparation. That's taking nothing away from Kurt and the Gators. Those guys prepare for football, but someone has to be better, right? You're not the same. So, and I've just seen a lot, and until proven otherwise, the Jets kind of have to be there. Derek, last one for me, and I'll pass it off to Amari. Kind of same question for you, Derek. What kind of went wrong offensively in that first game? Obviously, there's a lot. Rashawn wasn't there and stuff like that, but maybe less about what went wrong. You had 70 yards passing total. I believe it was a tough game for your passing game. But what are you going to be really focusing on this week, and how is your chemistry with your current quarterback right now? You've had a good season, had a good playoff game, caught a touchdown pass in there. So how are you feeling with your chemistry with you and your quarterback, and also your offense as a whole?
So, yeah, with my offense right now, yes, we lost a lot of key players, but what I like with the offense right now is that what we have, we're able to put people at a certain position for them to still be able to do what they need to do at the end of the day. So what I feel like right now I have that I didn't really have at the beginning of the season, like I said, the QB, I know the QB. That was my QB from last year. I know how he throw the ball. I know how he feel in the pockets. I know how fast the ball come. I know when to expect the ball. But also what I like with the situation that we are now is that we don't need to do too much complications. So it's really just simple football. Just get the ball to the playmakers, or just get the ball to the open and just let us do the job. It's really just in a situation where we want to just give the less stress to the QB and just let the playmakers do the job. And I feel like with the first game, with like I said, Provo being back, we tried too hard to put him back on this mojo. And I feel like we tried too hard to put him back to the Provo of 2022. And we didn't understand that he came back from a serious injury. He didn't throw the ball for 2 years. So asking a QB to throw the ball against a defense like the Gators that put a lot of pressure, it was a hard task for him also. So I didn't feel like we missed the opportunity was there. We just missed it. I believe the game would have been a real different game if we'll put, like Gabe said, the guy would have came earlier. Provo would have been playing last year. It would have been really different. You're asking the QB to come back after 2 years, not to find an excuse, because like we said, the Gators still did the job. At the end of the day, you still need to do the job. The 55 point then came just like that, they still did what they had to do to bring the 55 points. But what's different, like you said, Tej, we have a year of film. Now we know how they operate. We like to prepare, and we like to give them also a challenge. We're gonna give them a challenge. This game's just gonna be about who have the most stamina, who was the best prepared, who's ready to make plays when the plays need to be made. And I just hope really that the DBs are ready, because it's really going to be a different game. The connection going to be connecting, and I just hope they're ready, because they've been having like I said, they've been having a good year. They've been having a good year, but like I said, they didn't see people like us, and we're coming. And like I said, we're going to war, and I hope they're ready, because we are ready.
I love it, Omari.
I love what you were saying there with there's more chemistry now, teams there and everything. And when I look at your guys' journey, it reminds me a lot of the Chiefs, with the Kansas City Chiefs here. Just with this year, I know the narrative they had was they've always been number one. Everyone coming to them, you're coming to their stadium and everything. This is flipped now. Same for them, where they got to go on the road. I know for you guys, it's for on the road is one game, but it has a kind of feel where, they had to do way more adversity this year to see that result. And I know there's the storylines here in this AFL final where we got you guys going for the three-peat. We got the Gators trying to finish the unfinished. A lot of good things there. So I think this is one that if you guys had to rank the journey out of year one or 2022, 2023, 2024, which one would you say has been the most? Because a lot of his questions is obviously this year, but which ones would you say has been the most impactful for each of you individually, and where you've learned the most? Because I take it each season's brought different flavors, different adversities, different this and that, but where would you say you've grown the most personally and then team wise?
So personally, I would say I believe I've got my big ass growth really last year, because I was really put in a situation where I was a first target. I was the number one target. So last year was really I would say my growth, but this year is really the year that put me in a challenge, mentally, physically, like I was chatting off and on the field. So I believe that this year will be the one that is more important for me, because with everything that just happened off and on the field, the fact that we lost the first game at home, the first game of the year at home, after not losing for that many games, was really like I said, a humble moment. It's really a big humble moment. So I would say this year is really the year where if we when we win it all, it's really gonna be more special than anything, because we really come, like you said, and the way we got to be honest with the underdog right now. No matter what we did with the underdog, because people already count us out. People say, oh, it was the Gators, it's the Gators league now. So, like I said, this year is really one that is really important for me, because we're the underdog now. So it doesn't matter what we did last year. It's really this year, can we finish? Like you said, can we have a three-peat? Can they be the unbeaten? So there's really a lot at risk. So we can win. Winning this game, you're winning a lot. I feel we're beating a team that never lost. We're beating a team that's a super team in my eyes. We would beating them, bring a lot of accolade, I believe. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it may sound kind of biased, but it's for a lot of other reasons than football. But the 2022 year will always be over any football year that I've had. And it actually is no offense to my boys from that team that even I still play with currently. That probably hasn't even been the best team that I've ever played on. But it meant a lot more. That year, I had just lost so much. In addition to losing my grandmother, I think a couple days, about 2 days before we played Airdrie in the conference final, I lost her. And taking care of her by myself sorry, I might get a little emotional, but I'm sorry, it's just deep. I took care of her for myself for about 7 years. So doing all that and then finishing that for her was something very special to me. So I can never really say any year was probably going to mean more to me than that, just for that reason. But I would say probably for a team-wise, maybe this one. I actually thought last year was maybe a year where I think despite how good we were in 2022, last year was a year we had to find out how good we actually really were. A lot of us came back. A lot of us had to then be teachers. We taught a lot of guys. For instance, and Derek, as Derek was saying, him being a number one, had to help him with a lot of growth spurts with that.
I think I come back here.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. We see the amazing player he's turned into, but stuff like that. And I thought, damn, even with the adversity we faced last year and then my daughter coming, in that same year, I was like, okay, damn, this one's special. But looking at this one, kind of like Derek said, and kind of like you guys have kind of surfaced in front lines, with your opening statements and questions, we are kind of the underdog. And I kind of was mentioning it to my boy Blake. Shout out to Blake, my boy Tufo, Kobe year. I've always kind of seen this year playing out the way it's played out. You can call me crazy and all that, but truthfully, I have. I actually didn't see us winning the first game, believe it or not. I really didn't. I just didn't think, as Derek kind of said, we were kind of riding too high. And I was always kind of worried that was going to come back to haunt us at some point. And I thought maybe in the Natty when we lost it to GTA, unfortunately, I thought that was that moment, but it wasn't. That was this moment when we played the Gators. We needed that humbling experience. It was. And as the year has gone on, I almost walked away. I've been very vocal about that to my boys. I have had a lot going on with trying to gain any type of moments in time, to keep my family together and keep my family the way it is without losing it. There's a lot going on that I don't talk about. And I appreciate everybody that's been there. Shout out to you guys, including you. But it's been very hard. I almost stepped away after we played Calgary. Your team actually, Amari. I really almost stepped away, and I wasn't kind of going to come back. I think team-wise, probably a more special year. Just we've learned a lot about ourselves. We've had to come together. There's been a lot of moments that would say that I would think a lot of people would go this way, and somehow, some way, we just keep coming together and stuff. But, I think that's really what it entails a close team, because a lot of championship teams, they don't really ever have adversity. Sometimes they're always close knit. Oh, we never had a close game and all that good stuff. I think with everything since I got here, I think this continues to prove why this is the best team feeling I can get anywhere. As we know, I had a lot of offers to go other places this past off season. I think this is probably, while a lot of places had a lot of home fits, this is the most team fit, in my opinion. There's not a lot of places I think I can get into an argument with someone, and the very next instance, they're still my brother. Because I actually do know a lot of guys around the league, and I get in a lot of arguments with a lot of you cats via DM. And a lot of you guys don't ever want to talk to me very, very much after the game. So, it ain't like that here. I'm just saying. A lot of y'all do happen to be on one team now. So, but yeah. So that's just kind of my filter. So I would say this one is probably the most special team feel.
That's awesome. And I feel you with the DMs and this and that. And I was telling T here on our last episode of whoever's posting that AFL group chat anonymously, I'm like, yo, get rid of that feature. Like,
no anonymous.
Save your chest. If you're gonna get burned, you get burned, but you do it with your name out there. Like, I don't know. That's me. I feel like as that spice to the league, but we'll let that go. But my last question before I pass it back to Teej. Now that you guys played in the first game, leading through, and you had that full tape, for a question for each of you, which game would you say expose opportunities for you to be able to say, hey, that there's a weakness here, there's things we can do there, and really opened eyes up to where when it came to preparing for this game now, you're looking back at previous games and seeing, hey, this team challenged them more, they ran this concept. Don't need to dive into what they did, because I'm sure we're going to see that here for the game, but just the matchup versus the team where you feel like, hey, this team against the Gators did this, and we're going to steal that or this.
For me, I think it will be the last game that I saw that they played against Adri. I feel like there was a lot of opportunities, just the guy was not making the plays. I feel like I said, I'm not setting shots. I'm not setting shots, but you cannot call yourself the best secondary if all you do is play deep and wait for the ball to come to you. That's what I'm saying. We're the only DBs out here that play man. You can't call yourself the best secondary. You just play deep. So I just see that they bet out too early. They bet out early. So I just feel like they're aggressive. They're too aggressive, and they're aggressive.
Careful, Derek. The Gators DBs are super sensitive.
Anything
you say could get them real riled up on here.
And I want them to know I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm coming. Like I said.
Hey, this will be clipped and sent to the DB group chat. Definitely.
Oh, send it. Number 5, Derek Valmy is coming.
Wonderful.
Derek,
coming. Like I said, we're going to war. It's not time to be friendly. And we can be friendly after, but for now, like, I don't like y'all. Y'all on the path to where I'm trying to go. Y'all on the way.
That's great.
So it is what
I mean,
it is.
I mean, he's not wrong. He's really not wrong. I mean, but you can kind of see the demons we create over here. And I will say, as you guys can tell, my wolf is hungry. He's very hungry right now. Somebody, but so he's very hungry. But as funny as it sounds, Amari, to your question, week one. Wow. Yeah, we lost and all that, but it's just like I said, it's about a 10-point game all the way until the end of the fourth. I'm not saying they're not that good. I'm not saying we're that bad. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying there's a reason why it wasn't that big of a blowout till the end of the game. And we hadn't even been put together yet or even played together that long. So there's a lot in that film. I've gone back more than you can imagine and put together and game planned with T. And he's gotten kind of like Derek on a lot of the recent film. I've gotten on that too, but I think week one actually tells a lot more than I think both teams kind of looked into, because I think we were both kind of looking at it differently at the time that it came out. And I think now going back to it, I think it's really got a different paradox.
Mm-hmm. And with that too, this is now where I want to add to the Kansas City vibe, just with it being this year, is where Andy Reid, you can relate it to where it's gonna be Teague this in this relationship, is where you give Andy Reid time and you look what kind of game plan he puts together. And I feel like that with Teague now, with his experience that he brings, the time that you're giving him, he can have his, call it Andy Reid moment where, hey boys, I have time. Here's the game plan, and that's one thing where we're excited to see that roll out, will be executed, and the game that it brings. Like, one thing I texted Kurt, this is like, this is now one game to where we want to try and get as many fans in the seat. Like, I know the local teams here in Calgary, the Dinos and the Colts, they're going through their camp and season. So I'm like, hey, have them come on by, trying to get CTV to come on by. Like, this is truly going to be a high level game of football. And by the graces of all, that's not all. I don't say that. I don't want to put it on that, but this is now where I think this game is going to put to bed all the sayings of, oh, we're beer league, this and that. Like, that saying always gets to me, because I'm saying, man, like, I guess you don't see the new effort that's going in, the intensity, the level of the play and everything. But with this now being two top teams that are now, I would consider semi-pro teams, going at it, like, this is going to be a game. People are going to be entertained, get their money's worth. They're going to pay their $10 and be entertained. Like, I need one of you guys on the field.
That's how much y'all charging over there at that stadium, man. $10.
Are you not entertained? That's what we need.
Yeah, that's I'm really looking forward to it.
So are you guys coming? Like, what's up, man? Like, I mean,
I'm doing a live stream. I'll be there.
Are you coming?
Yeah.
Like, what's up, man?
Amari's going to be there.
I came to your game.
I'm not going to be able to make it. I got a golf tournament tomorrow. So I won't be able to make it on time, but I'm going to be obviously watching it, probably doing some live streaming from the Alberta Football Uncensored Instagram channel. So we'll have some things on that. Before we go, it is getting late and I'm tired as hell and I got to get up early. So, Gabe, any last words before the game tomorrow?
Lastly, as I always tell you guys, I'm proud of you guys. You made it another year. Proud of you again for hitting your milestone. Yeah, proud of you again.
Hey,
for hitting
thank you
your
guys.
milestone.
It's been great.
And also, T, proud of you, man. Congratulations and welcome to the Dad Club, brother. Proud of you.
Hey, thank you, man. That means a lot. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, man. It means a lot.
As far as football goes, hats off to all teams. Truthfully, I think it was a very competitive year. I really do. I think the league could have had a few different outcomes if a few different bounces happened with the ball in a few different games. And that's great. Going to what you just said, Amari, the league is no longer a beer league anymore. It's starting to grow. There's actual talent in this league now. And I like that. That brings a lot of parity. That means nobody's just blowing anybody out the water anymore. The track shouldn't be as clear for anybody just to ride on through. But I would say I'll take full credit for it, man. Everybody had to get better after I told y'all to get better. I said it once. I'm gonna say it again. This is all only happening because I called everybody out. I don't think it would have happened otherwise. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a
it's good.
competitive way. But I mean, I am happy for this. I'm gratefully happy for this. I'm excited to see a lot of the boys tomorrow on the Gators. It'll be great to see them. But just like Derek said, there will be a time where, we're no longer friends or family. It's nothing personal. It's just, there is a war that does have to take place. And one side does have to win and one side does have to lose. So in the midst of that war, family won't be family. But once it's over, we will all go back to being what we are. I wish all my boys the best, Kurt, Dave, Cam, to name a few. I really hope you guys have a good one. Ty, you as well, buddy. Please. I really hope you guys have a good game. I really do. I really hope everybody's able to leave safe back home. Being a father now, I really mean this and understand this. Like, please, I hope we all have an injury-free game, but it is definitely going to be a show.
Yeah.
It is definitely going to be a show. And I don't mean in any way of saying we're going to dominate them or not even saying we're not going to be good enough for them to dominate us. It is going to be a show. Yeah. A lot of those guys come from a lot of teams that we beat the shit out of, for lack of better words. And they want their get back. And they feel like now is their chance to get their get back. And so we're going to find out, because if anybody, as you two know, the king of get backs, I'm ready. I'm excited. I love the DMs I've received all week. I love all of them. I'm looking forward to seeing if all of you can hold true to everything you've said. I promise you, my boys know. I promise you they're full aware. So just as you hear one going off right now, he knows. So you can't run. You can't run. He knows. He's excited to see you tomorrow. But I'm excited to see you guys. Amari, I do hope I get to see you before the game. But I definitely think this game is going to come down to not just so much that. It's actually a conversation I had with somebody, and that a conversation will remain private. But I think it's going to come down to which team's unsung hero makes the biggest play. We all know who the stars are on both teams, both sides, or on all three phases, ball, special teams included. We all know who all the stars are. All the stars are going to make their plays. I'm going to make mine. Derek's going to make his. Heather's are going to make his great throws. Cam and them are going to make their stops. Their D-line's going to make their stops. They're going to make good runs. All that's going to happen. There's an unsung player on both sides of the ball for each team. And I think it's going to come down to what player makes the play. And I think that's what's going to coincide and make the determining factor of the game. So whoever that is, damn, hats off. But be excited. For everybody listening, be excited. We can look forward to seeing you and look forward to having a very fun, impactful, hard-hitting, hard-nosed, and very fundamental game, because it's exactly what is coming. That's exactly what I said AFL football would be when I first got here and got on the podcast with these boys a couple years back. And now you're seeing it come to fruition. So hats off to us in that aspect. One last, we all did that. You
Hell
too.
yeah.
We all brought talent into this league, and it's been great, man. It's been great. So I'll leave with that, and say I love you guys. I love everybody. God bless. I look forward to seeing the Gators, and go Jets. Go Jets, baby.
Hey, as always, appreciate you so much, man. Derek, any last words for us?
It's gonna be a good show. It's gonna be a dogfight, and both team are really good team. And like I said, who want it more gonna get it, and everybody gonna make plays. This is who gonna make the most plays.
Yeah, you know what? It's going to be a hell of a game. It might be one of the best AFL finals we've ever seen. And I hope it will, and I hope it is, because there's nothing better than good, high quality football. And if we get high quality football, whoever wins or whoever loses that game, if we can have a game that showcases our league and showcases what it is, I think that's a win for everybody. And I think we all, regardless of any teams we play on, but when the dust settles, we want to make this league as known as we possibly can, because there's a lot of really special players playing in this league and really good people. So good luck to both of you guys tomorrow. Good luck to both teams. I can't wait to see it. Omari's going to have some live stream stuff going. I'm going to be watching it and maybe streaming from our Instagram. So it's going to be a great time. You guys get to bed, get some damn sleep in that Motel 6 as best you can. And hey, good luck tomorrow. I'm picking the Jets to win for a number of reasons, but mostly so I can make fun of Calgary and their DBs. And if Calgary now does win, then they can talk about me after the game and blah 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 blah, and then I get more press and more people listening to the podcast. Okay,
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win.
Always
Go
win.
Jets. Omari, send us out, man. Thanks.
All right, hey, appreciate you guys tuning in at the first part of the Gators segment with the Jets. You know, everyone was rest up, get their routines in. Everyone with their stipulations. You know, athlete routines. We all know what we got to do. If you got to put your left shoe on first, then your right, then you got to tie it in a certain knot. Do all that. Get all that superstition out the way. Eat a good breakfast. 7:30 tomorrow, August 17th at Hellard Field. Sholas Athletic Park is going down.
Hey.
Right. We got the stories. We had
lean the other way, Teej. There we go.
Thank you very much.
we got two storylines here competing. Gonna be exciting. Gonna be an exciting time. Lots of entertainment. You're gonna get your money's worth out of this. I can guarantee you that. I just one now that I think is going to be a game for the ages. One that we can look back and say, hey, this is a game here. So I'm looking forward to live streaming it. This is now the tough thing with me now being on the live streaming side, where I'm just helping out on that side, because it's like I want to get that out to as many people as we can, and to the family, which I'm sure they want to see us play, friends, scouts, you name it. A different one. This is a big game I love just to watch, but I'll be watching through the screen and ensuring that the greater fans can see it. So hey, you can catch this episode on Apple Music, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Everything's automatically uploaded to YouTube. I fixed that, so now I don't have to render it out every time. You'll see it there. Make sure to drink your water, get your vitamin D in, get your vitamins in, all that good stuff. We'll see you guys here next week, and we'll have a crown champion here. We'll see who it turns out to be.
All right.
Sure. See you guys next
week. We'll have you guys back on if you win tomorrow. Okay.
Sure.
See you, boys. Good luck.
Take care.